The soft golden sunlight slowly spread across the empty street as the old woman stepped out of her fragile home, carrying a worn wooden tray filled with small snacks, her tired eyes hiding years of silent struggles and unspoken pain. Each step she took felt heavier than the last, not because of the tray in her hands, but because of the weight of loneliness and survival that life had placed upon her shoulders without mercy or pause. Yet despite everything she had lost, she still held on to a fragile hope deep within her heart, believing that maybe today someone would stop and see her not as invisible, but as human. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start. There was a time when her home echoed with laughter, when she had people who cared, but life had slowly taken them away, one by one, leaving behind nothing but silence and memories that now felt heavier than reality itself. Now, every morning wasn't just about earning money, it was about surviving another day, alone in a world that moved too fast to notice her pain, her presence, or the quiet battle she fought within her fragile heart. She had become both the storyteller and the story itself, a woman standing against time with no support, no comfort, and no one to lean on except the fading strength that still pushed her forward. She reached the roadside and gently placed her old wooden tray down, carefully arranging each snack as if every single piece carried a piece of her survival, her dignity, and her last remaining hope for the day. Her trembling hands moved slowly but with purpose, adjusting each item with care, as though presenting them beautifully might convince someone, anyone, to stop and give her a reason to smile again. In that small corner of the busy street, her humble setup wasn't just a stall, it was her entire world, a fragile attempt to fight back against hunger, loneliness, and a life that had given her nothing but hardship. People passed by one after another, their footsteps quick and indifferent, their eyes fixed on their own lives, as if the old woman standing there with silent hope simply did not exist in their world at all. She looked at each face with quiet expectation, her tired eyes searching for a moment of kindness, but every passing second only brought disappointment, as no one paused, no one smiled, and no one truly saw her. The noise of the street grew louder, yet around her there was an unbearable silence, a silence that came from being unseen, unheard, and forgotten by a world that once felt like home. Just when her hope began to fade, a small child walked up to her stall, looking curiously at the snacks, and in that simple moment her heart felt a warmth she had almost forgotten existed. The child picked a small treat and handed her a few coins, and as she gently gave it back, a genuine smile appeared on her face, soft and rare, like a light breaking through years of darkness. For a brief second, the world didn't feel so cruel anymore, and that tiny act of kindness became enough to remind her that somewhere, somehow, humanity still existed. The sudden loud laughter of a group of young men shattered the quiet atmosphere, their mocking voices cutting through the air as they approached her stall with arrogance, treating her presence like a source of cheap entertainment. Their eyes carried no empathy, only amusement, as they circled around her fragile setup, whispering and laughing in ways that made her feel smaller with every passing second under their careless judgment. What was just another moment for them quickly turned into the beginning of something painful for her, as their cruel intentions became clearer with every step they took closer. Without warning, one of them pushed her tray, sending the carefully arranged snacks crashing onto the dusty road, scattering not just food, but the dignity she had tried so hard to protect in front of the world. The laughter grew louder as they watched the mess unfold, completely unaware or perhaps uncaring of the emotional weight behind what they had just done to a woman who had nothing left to lose. In that single moment, her effort, her hope, and her respect were all thrown to the ground, leaving her standing there, broken in a way that words could never fully describe. With trembling hands and a heavy heart, she slowly bent down to gather the fallen snacks, her fingers shaking not from age alone, but from the humiliation that pierced deeply into her soul. Tears welled up in her eyes, blurring her vision, yet she made no sound, as if she had grown used to swallowing her pain in a world that never paused to listen or care. Amid the noise of laughter around her, her silence spoke the loudest, a quiet, heartbreaking acceptance of the cruelty life had once again chosen to show her. Just a few meters away, a sleek blue luxury car came to a silent stop, its presence unnoticed by most. But inside sat a man whose eyes were fixed on the painful scene unfolding before him. He didn't speak, didn't move immediately, but the intensity in his gaze revealed everything he had seen enough, not just of this moment, but of a world that had forgotten how to treat humanity with dignity. Through the tinted glass, he watched her struggle, and something deep within him shifted, as if this wasn't just her pain anymore, it had now become his responsibility to act. The car door opened slowly, and the man stepped out with calm authority, his presence alone changing the energy of the space, as his composed expression carried a quiet but undeniable strength. Every step he took toward the old woman was deliberate, not rushed, yet filled with purpose, as if he had already decided what needed to be done long before he reached her. The laughter around began to fade, replaced by an uneasy silence, as the young men sensed that something unexpected and powerful was about to unfold before their eyes. Without saying a word, he bent slightly and began picking up the fallen snacks himself, his expensive suit brushing against the dusty ground, showing a level of respect no one there had expected to witness. He then gently handed her money, enough to buy everything she had brought, and more. But what he truly gave her in that moment was not charity. It was the dignity that had just been taken from her. The crowd watched in stunned silence, realizing that this wasn't just a wealthy man making a purchase, but a human being reminding everyone present what true respect and compassion really looked like. After helping her gather everything, he stood up and calmly began distributing the snacks among the people nearby, turning what was once a scene of humiliation into a moment of unexpected warmth and shared humanity. The same crowd that had ignored her moments ago now stood quietly, accepting the food with a sense of reflection, as if they were beginning to understand the value of what they had previously overlooked. In just a few minutes, the energy of the street transformed completely, proving that sometimes it only takes one person to shift an entire atmosphere from cruelty to compassion. He gently turned toward the old woman, his voice soft yet firm as he said words she never imagined hearing, offering her not just help, but a chance to leave behind the life that had caused her so much pain. "Come with me. You don't have to stay here alone anymore," he said, his tone filled with sincerity, making it clear that this was not pity, but a genuine desire to change her circumstances. She looked at him in disbelief, her heart racing as she tried to process whether this moment was real or just a dream she was too afraid to believe in. With gentle reassurance, he helped her walk toward the car, his actions careful and respectful, as if he understood the fragility of the moment and the trust she was placing in a complete stranger. As she sat inside the luxurious car, her eyes moved slowly, taking in everything around her, overwhelmed by a world so different from the one she had been living in just moments before. Behind them, the same young men who had laughed now stood silent, watching as the woman they had humiliated was being taken away toward something they could not even begin to understand. The car moved forward smoothly, leaving behind the noise of the street, and inside there was a quiet stillness that felt unfamiliar, yet comforting to her tired soul. She sat quietly, holding her hands together, unsure of what to say, but for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel fear. She felt a strange sense of safety she had forgotten existed. And as the city passed by outside the window, she realized that this journey was not just about distance, but about leaving behind a painful past and moving toward a life she never thought possible. After a calm drive through the city, the car slowly came to a stop in front of a beautiful and elegant restaurant, a place so grand that she hesitated even to look at it, feeling completely out of place. Her hands tightened nervously as she glanced at the entrance, unsure if someone like her was even allowed inside, as years of hardship had quietly convinced her that such places were never meant for people like her. But the man stepped out confidently and gently signaled her to follow, his calm presence reassuring her that for today she didn't have to question her worth or her place in the world. He guided her to a seat with the same respect one would offer to someone important, ensuring she was comfortable before ordering a proper meal, something she had not experienced in a very long time. As the food arrived, she looked at it with disbelief, her eyes reflecting both gratitude and hesitation, as if she needed permission to believe that this moment was truly meant for her. Every bite she took carried more than just taste. It carried dignity, kindness, and a sense of being valued, something she had been deprived of for far too long in her difficult life. Sitting across from her, the man gently asked about her life, his voice calm and sincere, not driven by curiosity, but by a genuine desire to understand the pain she had silently endured for years. At first, she struggled to speak, but slowly her words began to flow, revealing a story filled with loss, sacrifice, and survival, her eyes filling with tears as she shared the weight of her past. He listened without interruption, without judgment, giving her something she hadn't received in a long time, a moment where her voice mattered and her story was truly heard. After listening to her story with deep understanding, he leaned slightly forward and spoke with quiet assurance, telling her that she no longer had to struggle alone on the streets for survival. His words were not empty promises, but filled with sincerity, as he explained that he would arrange a safe and stable life for her, one where she could live with dignity and without fear. For the first time in years, her heart felt something unfamiliar yet beautiful, a sense of hope rising gently within her, as if life was finally offering her a second chance. The car finally stopped in front of a beautiful and peaceful house, its presence calm and welcoming, standing in complete contrast to the harsh world she had known for so long. She stepped out slowly, her eyes wide with disbelief as she looked at the place, unsure if she was truly meant to enter a space that felt so distant from her reality. Standing at the doorstep, she paused, her heart racing, as if crossing that threshold meant leaving behind not just her past, but the identity she had carried through years of hardship. As she finally stepped inside, her emotions overwhelmed her, and tears began to roll down her cheeks, not from pain or sorrow, but from a deep sense of relief she had never experienced before. Every corner of the house felt safe, warm, and peaceful, and in that moment she realized that this was not just shelter. It was the beginning of a life where she no longer had to suffer silently. Her tears carried years of buried pain, but also gratitude, as she silently acknowledged the unexpected kindness that had completely changed the direction of her life. He showed her a clean and comfortable room, telling her gently that this would now be her space, a place where she could rest, heal, and live without the constant burden of survival. She looked around in quiet disbelief, touching the surroundings softly, as if she feared it might all disappear, unable to fully accept that she finally had a place to call her own. For the first time in countless years, she didn't feel invisible, abandoned, or helpless. She felt respected, valued, and most importantly, human again. Back on the same street, the young men who had once laughed stood at a distance, their faces no longer filled with arrogance, but with a quiet realization of the harm they had caused without a second thought. They replayed the moment in their minds, the tray falling, her silent tears, and then the unexpected arrival of a man who showed more humanity in seconds than they had in their entire presence there. For the first time, guilt replaced their laughter, and deep inside, they began to understand that what seemed like a joke to them had been someone else's deepest humiliation. After ensuring the old woman was safe and comfortable, the billionaire chose not to stay or seek any recognition, quietly preparing to leave as if what he had done required no praise or attention. There were no grand speeches, no announcements, no attempts to prove anything to anyone. His actions had already spoken louder than words ever could in that powerful, life-changing moment. He walked away the same way he had arrived, calm, composed, and unnoticed, leaving behind not just a house, but a transformed life and a memory that would stay forever. That single day became more than just an event. It became a story that carried a powerful message, showing how one act of kindness can change not only one life, but the hearts of many who witness it. People who had ignored her and those who had mocked her all carried that moment within them, slowly realizing that true wealth is not measured by money, but by compassion and humanity. And somewhere in that quiet home, the old woman finally rested without fear, living proof that even in the harshest world, kindness still has the power to rewrite someone's entire destiny. True wealth is not in money or power, but in the kindness that lifts someone from pain and restores their dignity. Hearts change through stories like this, like the video. Subscribe to the channel and don't miss what comes next.